So I'm going to do geolocation, which in this case, if you're confused at all about what that means, that basically means locating someone geographically. So it's really about tracking people, finding their location, where they are, where your users are. You often will have to give them permission, although there's different ways to essentially geolocate somebody using IP addresses and that sort of thing. You have to send those off to external services to be able to find out which IPs belong to which geographic locations, and it's unreliable, but you don't have to ask a user's permission to do that kind of thing. Whereas for the real geolocation, in general, you're going to have a secure domain. That means having the HTTPS or the SSL certificates set up, and you're going to still have to ask for permission. That's going to go for apps as well. No matter where you're using geolocation these days, it tends to be a lot more secure than it used to be, and that's obviously has good reasons. You just don't want every single website tracking your location all the time, and you want to be able to control it. So in this case, we're just going to look at how you can actually implement geolocation, keeping in mind, of course, those restrictions on it. And maybe you're clever enough to get around some of them, or find some smart way to geolocate people. But we're just going to go over some basic IP stuff and just using the typical in-browser stuff that there is to do our geolocation. So I'm going to rip out a whole bunch of this code here. We're just going to go back to real basics. Alright, let's get rid of all this. We're going to go back to just having made our map. Okay. Easy. Get rid of our panels. Get rid of all our extra garbage that's going on here. We don't need any of these overlays or the slide-ins anymore. And for those of you just randomly joining us, I know this is kind of out of nowhere, but there we are. There we go. Boom. Boom. We reload, boom, there's our map. I'm back, and now I'm going to show you my location, apparently, because I'm going to be geolocating myself. So, geolocation in the browser, JavaScript. Very easy to, it's remarkably easy to implement. It's not a big deal. Let's go to the Mozilla documentation, and we'll just pull it right out. So they have a method right here that we can drop into our, all this right when it starts up. Great, so right away we can do something where we could say, you don't have geolocation. And of course, I need to get rid of those. Alright, so that's easy. And then getting the current position, it's here. Okay, navigator geo. Okay, well, I'm just grabbing it. There it is, navigator.geolocation.getCurrentPosition, and we will just console log that. Super. So let's see what happens now when I load it. Boom. Oh, it wants to know my location. There we go. And I allowed it, and nothing appeared. So what happened? Oh, was it there? Did something happen? There it is. It appeared. So it took a little while. Sometimes it's a little slow, so you can't expect it to locate the person immediately. But there it is. In our case, we didn't need even a secure origin, and that's probably just because there's probably some kind of local thing built into this. But it won't let you usually just pull someone's location like that if it's not secure. Let's just play around a little bit with this, and maybe we'll drop a little marker that kind of looks like the typical little circular blue thing that maybe Apple puts out there. Just as a sample. But let's go make a marker. So we all remember how to make markers in Leaflet, but let's go look anyway. Actually, we're going to be making a circle, so let's go to documentation. We will head to circle. Where are they? Here we go, circle. And there they are, L circle radius, blah, blah. Okay, so in this case, we're going to add it with the latitude and longitude of our user. Our radius is, so 10 was clearly much too small. Maybe I just underestimated how small that really was. It should be around here, but you can't even see it. So let's make it a bit bigger. Let's make it maybe 1,000. Just make it huge so we can see. Okay, still nothing. Oh, there it is. So yes, I am right around in there. So that's like a very simple little thing. Maybe we actually want the fill opacity also to be 1, so that that's a little more blue. I should spell that right, I think. There we are. Alright, so there's a big user thing. Now you could obviously make that change color over time. We're going to look a little bit at animation, but I just wanted to show you that basic geolocation. And now you could also set up something that would be like a set interval. So you could go set interval function, and every, let's say, second, I'm teaching you some evil thing here, so please use it responsibly, you could track a person for every second that they have given you permission to track them. So then if I was somehow like running around, which I'm definitely not, I'm on my computer on my desktop, you'd see me moving around, which is pretty cool actually. And you could animate that. You could move the marker. We're going to have animation, as I said, in a later episode, so we'll be coming back. But you can see my position has actually changed slightly, which is kind of strange because I am most certainly not moving. But these are pretty minor perturbations in the matrix. So from here, let's look at how we'd get it from an IP. Let's say you're not doing geolocation this easy way. There's also these watch things set up. This is a great documentation for handling your geolocation. So I don't need to show you anymore. You saw how easy it was. You can figure out the rest. But let's look at IP geolocation JavaScript. Okay, so it's not too complicated. It's another way to geolocate, and it's a common thing you're going to run into with maps or people doing geospatial stuff with Leaflet. So you can't get someone's IP directly in JavaScript. It's client side, so it doesn't have access to all the like back and forth information that comes from creating the web page. So you'd have to either have printed the IP using your server side like PHP or something into the document, and then you can have access to it with JavaScript, or some other solution that does something similar. But once you do, if you do have that IP address, which is easy to do, so it's a half a line of PHP, then you can use various services to get the location of that IP. Now, this Stack Overflow question is great, how to get client's IP using JavaScript only. In fact, I'm going to upvote it. Oh, I'm not logged in, so never mind. But these are great. This is a great answer. There's probably like 30 services listed here. It's just enormous, and all kinds of different information coming back from all those different IPs. Now, these aren't necessarily accurate. People can mask them, etc., etc. But for your vast number of users, it's basically an easy, unintrusive way to get some kind of information about them. It's also far less accurate in terms of its detail. But that's a little bit about geolocation, a little bit about finding location of your users, and relating a little bit to Leaflet, but mostly just in general. So, hope that helps.